What's up, everybody? I'm back, and welcome to my Suicide Squad spoilers review.
If I'd only see
Oh, I'm not gonna kill you.
that the joke was on me.
I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
Now, we've already basically touched up on it in the spoiler-free review. If you guys want to go check that one out, you can, link in the description below. So Suicide Squad. It is the plot of a task force of metahumans and humans just with abilities or who are disposable, expendable, who are put into this team and forced to go into this crazy situation. Now, here's my problem with the film. I guess now that we're into spoilers, we can talk about some of the problems with it. Number one, they did not give a good origin story to anybody. They grazed over it in a montage, and I would have really liked to see a lot of that stuff. Harley Quinn's especially. I would have loved to see more of that because it would have given us, first of all, more Joker screen time. Second of all, it would have allowed us to see more of what Harley and Quinzel was like. Dr. Harley and Quinzel, which we got none of in the movie, really. I also didn't like what they did with Harley. They made her more of like a cheerleader, sporty, not what Harley Quinn is from my exposure to her. Now, that's the thing. I have to be clear here. My exposure to Harley Quinn is Batman the Animated Series and the Batman Arkham games. So I do not read the comics, but from what I've heard, both of these two things, the Arkham games and the animated series, are pretty faithful to the comics. So I'm supposedly in good enough hands. Now, I did not like what they did with her. Also, she was probably the weakest link out of all the characters that were heavily featured in the movie. I don't know why people keep saying she's the best part of the movie. She's not. She was probably my least favorite part of the movie. Slipknot was better than her. He was a great character. We'll talk about him in a minute. Harley Quinn, yeah, not a lot of her jokes landed. I mean, she had, I don't know how many jokes, but the theater laughed probably 3 or 4 times at her jokes, being generous. Deadshot was always a hit. Everyone loved a Deadshot. Everyone loved Captain Boomerang. But Harley Quinn is really hit or miss, and I feel like this movie was a lot of missing. Sorry for those of you guys who really liked Harley Quinn in this movie. I really wanted to. I wanted to like Harley Quinn in this movie, but I just couldn't. I didn't find her to be a good enough character. Now, that brings us to the Joker, who was awesome in this movie, although he was kind of turned from being this mastermind that we all know and love into basically just, oh, I gotta get my girlfriend back, let's go on a mission. And, that's kind of, he didn't seem as smart, as thought out as the Joker does, Granted, he didn't get a lot of screen time, and a lot of his screen time got cut from the movie, which is a shame. Hopefully they do the Batman v Superman route and release a extended cut of this movie where we can take a look at it and go, okay, here's the Joker we wanted to see. But yeah, most of his parts were cut. We didn't get to see lots from what we saw in the trailers and all that stuff. Also, they did a really cheap thing with writing him out of the movie. They write him out by making it look like he dies in a helicopter crash, which no one bought it. No one thought the Joker died. Only Harley thought the Joker died. I mean, probably not even the full characters thought the Joker died, because it was done in such a cheap way. You see the helicopter that he's in go down, and then you see the explosion. If you don't see him die on screen, they're not dead. That's the rule. If you don't see him die on screen, they're not dead. And what do you know? At the end of the movie, he shows up out of nowhere, dressed up in a task uniform, busts into the prison where Harley is, and he gets her out. Okay. Now they're back together. Now they can go do Harley Quinn and Joker stuff. That'll be good. Bringing us to, I guess we're going to touch up on the smaller characters really fast, these two, because, we kind of have to, because they're great. Batman. Really cool to see Batman in action. I can't wait to see a solo Batman movie. The only problem is he seems to solve these problems a little bit too quick. He jumps on top of the Joker's car and they drive into the water. He jumps down out of nowhere, snaps Deadshot's leg, and that's it. So he seems to be taking down his villains too easy, which will make a solo Batman film kind of boring. And I know for whatever reason, when they do the solo Batman film, he won't have such an easy time taking down his villains because, it's not going to be a montage at that time. But, I think it would have been cooler if there was some hand-to-hand or something, just to give us any more of Batman. But it was cool to see him in the movie. I did appreciate the fact that they even put him in. Also, the Flash is in it. Yeah, the Flash. He has a quick cameo. He shows up at one point, knocks out Captain Boomerang. That's what he does. Captain Boomerang's robbing this diamond store or whatever, or he's like involved in some sort of diamond bank heist or something. In the scene, it makes it look like a bank robbery, but then later on, they say that they charged him for a diamond heist. So it's kind of inconsistent, but. The Flash shows up and he goes, because Captain Boomerang knocked out his accomplice, he goes, I guess there's no honor amongst thieves, and then you just see the big zip of light, and it's pretty cool. The Flash is a pretty cool character. Also, I guess, should touch up on this really fast, the after-credits scene of Bruce Wayne meeting with Amanda Waller. They discuss the metahumans pretty much. Bruce offers Amanda protection, and he is given the metahuman file of all the metahumans that are out there in the world. Good thing it wasn't an email this time. It was also from a government agent. And now he's on the hunt for the Justice League. Great setup. This movie is pretty good. Does a really good job of expanding the universe. We get to see Midway City. We get to see all these other places. It's cool. Now, the villain. Oh, I wish they had done something different. Enchantress as the villain. Who didn't see that coming? I mean, it was so obvious from the trailers. Although her brother is also a side villain, but what does he do? He, turns himself half train track, half demon, and then he gets roasted, literally, by El Diablo. Meanwhile, Enchantress is just there, basically doing these weird hand motions in front of a big blue light, and screaming a lot in a voice that is definitely not Cara Delevingne's. And I know that's the point. It's the Enchantress speaking, but, I thought it was very weird. It took me out of the movie anytime she talked. So that was all kind of eh. And, it was really obvious. I didn't like it. Rick Flag's relationship with her was, whatever. Who didn't see where it was going when he squeezes the heart and then she reveals that she's alive at the end? Who didn't see that coming? Just like who didn't see the Joker being alive? It was obvious. The movie is pretty obvious what's going to happen when it starts playing out. You pretty much know where it's going to go from there, which is kind of a problem. It's predictable. But it is a good movie nonetheless. I had a lot of fun with it. Talking about the characters that I do really like, I guess we'll go kind of in order. Killer Croc, he was interesting. I mean, some of the times when I was looking at him, I know it's practical effects, which is great. Some of the times when I was looking at him, it kind of put me off. I was like, whoa, his head is huge. He does have a really big head for his body, which kind of took me out of the movie. He doesn't look as buff as I'd want him to. And, you can't really make him look that huge when it's a real person, but I think it would have been cooler if they'd done some enhancements with CG to make him look bigger or something, make him look more intimidating, because I don't think Killer Croc looked all that intimidating in this movie. Who else? Captain Boomerang. He was funny. Jai Courtney, I actually really liked in this movie, which is funny because I didn't like him in Terminator Genesis. I thought he did a good job in this movie. I like Captain Boomerang. He had that pink that pink unicorn. He had that good thing with the soda when all the monsters are attacking everyone and he pulls out the soda. Yeah, he's a funny character, and the whole idea of a guy robbing places with a boomerang is just funny to begin with, and it was cool to see him in action. Also, the boomerang works a lot like the OG batarangs do because the batarangs were originally based off boomerangs, and he's able to throw it and steer it around, which is fun. It's a fun movie. The good thing about this movie is it's not afraid to be a comic book. Most comic book movies are afraid to be what they are. It's a comic book movie. It's based off a comic book. You can do things like what they do in this movie because it's a comic book, you know? So yes, there's a lot of fun. Captain Boomerang's fun. I guess moving up, Rick Flag I had a love-hate relationship with. I felt like he came off as kind of a D-bag through a lot of the movie, but he redeemed himself from that bar scene on. He really did. Then from there, we got the Joker. He's great. The only problem is we didn't see him enough. Moving up, we have Deadshot. He's a funny guy. He was the one who the audience liked the most. Every joke he said, bam, got people. Deadshot's a funny guy because he's played by Will Smith. Will Smith is awesome. And I know lots of people have mixed feelings about his son, but no one's going to deny that Will Smith is awesome. He's really funny, and, you just like seeing him on film. So, I did really like Deadshot in this movie, although I don't like the mask. I'm not a fan of the mask that he wears. Good thing he didn't wear it a lot. But I do think even just the idea of this like hitman that can never miss is really, really cool. So it was fun to see him there. Much better than he was portrayed in the Suicide Squad in Arrow, which is good. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. My number one favorite character took me by surprise. I guess this is my number two. I'm sorry. My number two favorite character took me by surprise. Sorry to waste that dramatic reveal thinking it was my number one. Anyways, El Diablo, man. He's got the tragic backstory. He's the one we learned probably the most about. I felt bad for him, man. He's born with these fire powers he can't control. He gets enraged, accidentally kills his whole family, and then Harley is just a total jerk about it right afterward, which is like, come on, man. He just opened up to you guys. He's crying. You don't need to do that. Harley I have problems with, guys, if you couldn't tell. So, yeah, I really liked El Diablo. Yeah. And then I love, at the end, he turns into this, like, giant fire monster, and he fights Enchantress's brother, which is awesome. And he is the most tragic character in the movie, probably, because he's just this, like, freak of nature. He's not supposed to be what he is. He's a metahuman, and he pays the price. He sacrifices himself in a very honorable, very noble way. He gives his life for the team. That way, Enchantress's brother can die, and he does it in an awesome fashion, turning into a giant skeleton fire monster. That was sweet. He was a great, great character. It really took me by surprise how much I liked him. My number one character of the movie, this one was a shocker. From the trailers, I was like, oh, he's gonna suck. Even from his first appearance in the movie, I was like, oh, he's gonna suck. He didn't even get an introduction, which is the sad part. He didn't even get an introduction. My number one favorite character of Suicide Squad was Slipknot. You cannot deny he was the coolest character of the movie. He showed up, he like immediately knocks that girl out, which is great. He's like, she had a mouth on her, which is hilarious. He had that great scene where him and Captain Boomerang were plotting to escape, and then he has this amazing scene where he like shoots this sweet grappling hook up onto a building. He fires himself up onto this building, he shoots another one, fires himself up onto the other building, and then Rick Flag just blows his head up, and then he's dead, and then he just is a dangling body there. Yes, guys, I'm joking. No, I did not think Slipknot was the best character of the movie. I thought that was really funny what they did with him. They have him show up kind of out of nowhere, and then he just dies right away, which is funny. And it also does establish the fact that these micro bombs in their necks are certainly real. Everyone knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming. He jumps up in the trailer right as Rick Flag says, "You're gonna die." Or he says, "I'll kill you," or whatever he says. Oh, and then I found this picture online the other day where it was a picture of Superman's symbol and it said "Hope Never Dies," and right underneath it says "But Slipknot does," which was put out before the movie, which is why it was so funny because everyone knew it. It was funny. This movie has a lot of just energy, just joy in it. Lots of bright colors. I really like this movie. So thank you guys all for watching. 4 out of 5 stars. If you guys want a little bit less / more information on my feelings on it, but less in depth, go watch my spoiler free review. Thank you guys all for watching. D-Man out.